We're staging for another half hour of nitro-fueled NHRA talk. It's The Straight Line, presented by O'Reilly Auto Parts with Marty Huff and 10-time NHRA winner Doug Herbert. Brought to you by Hercules Tires. Now, here's your hosts, Doug and Marty.
This is The Straight Line on drag racing. Thanks for being here for our half hour of horsepower. Appreciate you being with us. The U.S. Nationals is where history is made, and Tony Schumacher made it again at the Big Go, earning win number 10 and taking the Traxxas Nitro Shootout in the process. We'll talk to the Sarge today. The burnout is complete, and we're set to launch another edition of The Straight Line. Wherever you may be, coast to coast around the world, this is The Straight Line on drag racing here on MRN.com. Along with four-time IHRA Top Fuel champion and 10-time NHRA National Event winner Doug Herbert, I am Marty Huff, coming off the Big Go in Indianapolis. As I said in the open, Doug, it's where history is made every year. And Tony Schumacher just seems to add to that history and that legacy. It's just an amazing performance this weekend by the U.S. Army team.
You know, winning the Traxxas Shootout and then coming back and winning the race. I'll tell you what, just looking at the way that he was running the car and driving on Monday was amazing. He had, his reaction time 62, 52, 46, 36, better every run. He got in a groove, He is able to get himself in the zone when he needs to be. And I mean, he's pulled it off at like the critical times more than anyone that I know. I was there. The first race that he won was at Texas Motorplex in '99. He beat me in the semis, and I thought, and at that time his car was running pretty good, but something happened when he won that first race. It's like I tell a bunch of these guys that we talked to on the phone, and girls, Eric Enders, we talked to him on the phone or in person, known him for years, and it's like once they get that first win, it just starts going, and that's the way it was with Tony Schumacher. Here we are, 82 career wins later.
Yeah.
Man, what a incredible story. Angel Low ET again over there for her and the Star team. That was pretty neat. And then Clay Millican setting a track record, qualifying number one. That was pretty cool. I was texting back and forth with Clay, and that was awesome.
Yeah, I believe after about mid-season, they decided to take a little bit of a swing in their setup and added some new parts and pieces. Had the opportunity to talk to David Grebnick and the people on the team, and they were telling me that there was a point in time where they thought, well, we're not going to go any further with some of the old stuff. We need to add some new stuff, and they did. And I think all that is now just starting to come.
Right. Well, think about it. Last year, they were a brand new team. They didn't even have a wrench in the toolbox, anything. Yep. And so, there's a lot of money that had to be spent to just get the car out on the track.
Yep.
And all of a sudden now they're bringing some new parts in. David Grebnick knows what he's doing. They've got a great team. So that's neat. That was really, really good to see them get that track record and to qualify number one and just give them a little bit of momentum going into the countdown now.
Yeah, and so watch for those guys. I think they may not win a championship, but boy, they could really upset somebody else's chances. And
they could win a race. If they won a race, that would be big. That would be huge.
That would be
that's what they need to do.
Tremendous for those guys. A guy that's won 82 of them. 10 of those have been in the biggest race of the season all year long in the Big Go, the U.S. Nationals. And the guy that won it this year, Tony Schumacher, 10-time. He is up next.
This is The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. We'll have more for you right after this.
From work life to nightlife, from home to the road, your day can take you anywhere. These fast-paced times call for Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans. Advanced Comfort is designed to keep up with you, no matter where you go or what you're doing. They're made with 20% stronger denim and 4-way flex technology that moves with you. Wrangler Advanced Comfort. Go anywhere, look great, and be comfortable. Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans. Try on a pair today.
Leading the race in innovation, Freightliner Trucks designed the Cascadia Evolution to lower your real cost of ownership. When powered by the integrated Detroit powertrain with a DT12 automated manual transmission and intelligent powertrain management, the Cascadia Evolution can achieve up to a 13% fuel efficiency increase over the first generation EPA 2010 compliant Cascadia model, keeping you on the road and in the race longer. Learn more about the Cascadia Evolution at FreightlinerTrucks.com. Freightliner Trucks. Run smart.
Get all the reactions and latest word from the track immediately following each race weekend on MRN's Motorsports Monday with Woody Kane and Joey Meyer.
Johnny Sauter drives the number 21 Chevrolet Silverado.
I didn't know that necessarily we'd win the first race of the year.
Log on to MRN.com every Monday at noon Eastern or stream the program from the MRN Media Center on demand. It's MRN Motorsports Monday, only on the Motor Racing Network. You're listening to The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Now, it's back to Marty Huff and Doug Herbert.
Appreciate you being with us here on this Thursday. And joining us right now on the telephone line is the guy's won 10 U.S. Nationals. He won number 10 this past Monday. He's on the phone with us right now. The driver of the U.S. Army Top Fuel Dragster for Don Schumacher Racing, Tony Schumacher, joins us. Sarge, thanks for being with us. Appreciate you, and congratulations.
Thanks. I appreciate being on the show. It usually means we won something.
Well, yeah, and this weekend you did, man. You got the deal done on Saturday and then again on Monday. What the heck happens at Indy for you guys? You pull in there and it just happens.
You know, I get asked that just every press conference, and I wish to God I could write down and you know, give a lesson, but I have no idea. It's a magical place. I'm going to leave it at that. You know, we've had incredible success from the first time I ever hit the gas pedal in a Top Fuel car and made a full run in '96 was at that racetrack, and you know, it's just God. Why do people have a specific track they can win at? I don't know. I thank God mine's Indy though. It's incredible, and I think maybe it's because the amount of pressure, and our team is such a good high pressure team. Looking at the history and the time times in our career we've had to win at the end, we've always been able to reach for something that a little extra step, and that's kind of like Indy, man. It's a little bigger, it's a little more, and it's a little more difficult to win, and a little more sacrifice and all that stuff.
Tony, at the beginning of the year, I think most everybody would agree, and I think you would be in agreement, that the U.S. Army team probably wasn't running as well as you'd have liked it to. And one of the explanations that you said is, hey, if we're not going forward, we're going backward. And you were trying some stuff, and Mike Green and Neil Strasbaugh were trying to get a combination together. It looks like now that combination has really come together here over the last couple of weeks.
Absolutely, and I think, if you see a team that's just kind of maintaining all the time, they're going to be a top couple finisher, but they're not the champs, and it's an uncomfortable thing to reach outside the box and try something new. But it's absolutely necessary. If all cars are exactly the same, you're only going to win a few races. You're going to deal with a lot of adversity. But if you can step back and try something new, totally different, and make it work, you're going to be tenths of a second ahead. And that's what we're trying to get. Because winning races by thousandths of a second is just too darn hard, man. It's too intense. and you can't do it enough to win a championship. So we need to find something that's better. Our problem is we got three other teams on our team. You know, so once we do all that work and figure it all out, we hand it over because that's what teammates do. And then those cars are hard to beat. But at least it keeps those championships within our DSR camp.
Right. Well, Mike Green, your team has been together a long time. Like Mike's been with you, all those guys that work on the car. And that is something that just kind of gels together and makes the team stronger. And I know Mike worked for me back a long time ago. He likes coming up with new trinkets, new little devices, stuff like that. He's into that. That's a big advantage that he does that, but that he's also been there with you guys for so long. I bet you that you probably did you take these guys out to lunch or have some kind of a prayer meeting or something? I figured that you had to have sometime before Indy telling them, hey, guys, this is where we're doing. This is what we need to pull off.
Thursday night at Mike's party, I watched the last 6 races, and watched the progress. And I showed up at that party and said, and kind of joked and said, those other teams should just save that $7,000 to run, put it in their pocket, and enjoy the weekend because we're sweeping this thing. And at the end of the day on Monday, Mike goes, when you called the team together and said that, everyone laughed for a second, but they all got inspired and they all believed it. And they went out with absolutely no doubt. Every run, I said the same thing. We're winning this round. I said, not only are we going to win the shootout and go out and win the race, but we're going to go down the track ahead of the other car every run. And we did that even in qualifying. And it was just, no matter what happened, we were getting there first. And again, it's a little bit of magic. These are very close races amongst the best racers in the world. A little bit of cockiness, but it's, some of that comes with the fact that we have won Indy 9 times at that point. We have a better car than most at that particular place, and the car's running incredibly good, and my driving had stepped up. All that goes hand in hand, and when you see that whole package come together, can you get beat first round? Look, Trip Tatum ran an 82 against me, man. If we stumbled at all, we don't win Indy. We don't even win first round. So it took a machine altogether to go out and produce that trophy, or those 2 trophies. But at the end of the day, it was well worth all of the effort. And what you were saying earlier about Mike, he loves changing things, and he's an engineer. And we talk to kids, just like you, Doug, man. You spend a lot of time with kids, so do I. And it's pay attention. Engineering is so important because anyone can build a car that's already been built. You can replicate stuff easily. It's building the next one that no one's not only haven't built, but haven't even seen or thought of yet. Figuring out what you're going to do next. What's the next thing that's going to win the U.S. Nationals? So we're good at that. We have great players and great people and great parts thanks to my dad and all the people that, provide for our race teams. But we're really good at putting it all together. And we're good at the adversity. We're good at sucking at some point to figure it out and dealing with it well. Because you've been there, and it is not easy to deal with when you're a winning team and you're getting beat, but you know what you're doing has a potential to be a championship tune-up. You just got to stick with it, fight through it.
Absolutely. Well, and there's a difference between being cocky and understanding the ability that you have to win. Are you cocky sometimes? Yeah, I've known you for a long time. I guess so. But when you back it up, you go, okay, well, you know what? He backs it up. So that's the difference between just being cocky and actually going, hey, being motivating yourself, motivating your team. And you know what? Pulling that 36 light up in the final, you needed that. And that's what won. And that, you can say cocky or not, that was just flat good. Whole shot in my book.
Yeah, that was. But I knew he was going to have a great light. And I knew he had Alan Johnson behind him. I'd worked with Alan for a long, long time. So you got to push it, and I don't push it a lot. Honestly, Doug, you look back at my career, I give you a 60 light almost all the time, almost every time, because the 60 light wins a lot of championships. It doesn't red light. It doesn't push it. But I don't win on whole shots. I don't lose on whole shots. I'm just going to do that. I feel that driving a car straight, knowing where you are on a racetrack, and 1,000 other little things win championships substantially more than taking a good solid guess or being so on the edge that the only thing you're worried about is that light. Because guess what? There's a lot of racetrack in between that finish line, and understanding the race car, what it's doing, and being able to catch it. Look, third round, that car spun the tires. The reaction time didn't win that race. Stopping it from spinning the tires did. So there's other things that a mind, that is experience. I've been doing this a long time, 20 years. I understand how much other stuff goes into winning these races. And, the hardest part is simplifying something that's so complicated, because we're only going 1,000 feet. It should be simple anyways, but the millions of things and decisions along the way, simplifying that, getting rid of it out of your mind at a place like Indy that's so overwhelming, and letting it just be fun again. And that's what we did. We went out and did our job, and it's a beautiful trophy, man. Because of the depth of what it took to win it.
Tony, are you a believer in momentum? And if so, I would think that these next couple of races, you got to be a big believer in having a really good shot and winning another title.
Yeah, I'm a believer in momentum when I have it.
Yeah.
You know, I would not want to race against me the next couple of races. We got the right car, the right place. We probably have taken a lot of people who were loving the fact that we were screwed up for a long time and silenced them a little bit. But I'm also not stupid. I know there's other great cars. So I'll shine a little bit of that cockiness through the races to help my team stay positive, but with a definite humbleness behind me. I know how hard this is to win a championship one time. And I know that you go to these first few races and it will set a pattern. You go out and win them and run good, other teams start to break down and they start to make changes that are unnecessary and ineffective because of what you do. So I do know that these couple of races right in front of us, starting in Charlotte, are going to kind of dictate the pattern that we see throughout the rest of the year.
And speaking of which, you mentioned here a couple minutes ago that you now have 3 other teammates. At the beginning of the year, you couldn't say that. How much is the addition of the Leah Pritchett team have kind of helped things along and just being another basis for data?
It doesn't help me at all. It doesn't. I mean, you know, the data's always been there. We have. It's not like we brought in another mind to think it through. We just stretched the team a little thinner. But she's a quality driver, and Papa John's is an amazing sponsor. I think what Papa John's will do is bring in other necessary sponsors.
All right.
They got, he loves racing. He loves being there, and he's got friends in that whole industry, and we need to see that. This is the greatest sport on earth. I've made my living at it. I love it, and I want to see it grow with the coverage we have on TV. It's fantastic. I want to see it grow with the sponsors, and I want to see it back the way it used to be, where 25 cars show up for a race, and we battle, and everyone's got the money to race, and it's not it's not just 1 or 2 teams that are capable of winning. It's a whole bunch of us, because the fans deserve to see, as expensive as it is to go to a race, they deserve to see a great race. That's what I loved about it. It came down to 2 teams. Wasn't my teammate. Came down to an Alan Johnson team against Mike Green, a true battle, and it came down to 0.006 of a second. You couldn't leave that racetrack without feeling like you owed more money for your ticket.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, true enough.
So you just said a little bit about it, but how about the TV coverage? I thought it was really good. I was watching on, throughout the weekend, and that final round being live, just all the things that have went into this has to bring a lot of value to the sponsors, and more people are watching. And probably gets people activated to go out and go to the racetracks and everything as well.
The stands are full on Saturday at every race we've been to. Sundays are always, it's a church day. There's people have other things, but even here on Saturday and Sunday, because we raced on Monday, the stands were fantastic. Little light on Monday, but when the stadium's huge here. Indy was a big place. Sonoma was sold out. The last, I think, 7 or 8 races had sellout days. Maybe more, maybe even more than that. And it's getting better and better. And the more you do that live TV, the more people see it that had never watched a race before, that say, wow, I like this. They pop up, just a few people. And what happens next year is they're not going to miss it because it was a great day with their family, and they bring out 3 or 4 more people. So we should watch the sport grow.
Well, hey, we're looking forward to seeing you in a couple weeks here in Charlotte and at ZMAX Dragway, and hopefully at our gala again this year for Brakes.
Sounds good, man. Brakes is such an awesome deal. I was proud to be affiliated with it, and I'm loving that it's coming to Austin, man. We're real excited.
Oh, we are super excited, and that was in no small part due to your help down there too. So, thanks,
I love
buddy.
it. We need it.
We look forward to seeing you here real soon. Tony Schumacher, driver of the U.S. Army, DSR Top Fuel Dragster.
Thanks, guys.
Tony Schumacher, winner of the U.S. Nationals, doing it for the 10th time, looking for his 9th championship after this 2016 season, and the countdown starts in a couple of weeks right down the road at ZMAX Dragway. When we return, we've got a whole bunch of highlights from the U.S. Nationals, and we're going to get to some of those next.
You're listening to The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. More right after this.
Whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires will get you there. Whether you're running on dirt or running a job, Our dependable, high-quality tires are the perfect fit for your needs. For unmatched value, selection, and warranty with industry-leading road hazard protection, there's only one choice: Hercules Tires. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com or call 800-677-9535. Hercules Tires, ride on our strength.
From work life to nightlife, from home to the road, your day can take you anywhere. These fast-paced times call for Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans. Advanced Comfort is designed to keep up with you, no matter where you go or what you're doing. They're made with 20% stronger denim and 4-way flex technology that moves with you. Wrangler Advanced Comfort. Go anywhere, look great, and be comfortable. Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans. Try on a pair today.
It's time to start pouring concrete, and the Housby Mixer System is ready for the job. The Housby Mixer System was created specifically with the driver in mind. All controls and specs are completely customizable to your operations. Our durable, driver-friendly mixer can be mounted on all truck types, and our expert support is second to none. On-site and live phone support is just a phone call away. For more information, visit Housby.com. Housby, an official sponsor of NASCAR for over 40 years.
It's The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Now here's Marty Huff and Doug Herbert.
Big thanks to the Sarge, Tony Schumacher, for joining us today on The Straight Line. Hey, if you're in the Columbus, Ohio area, you are in luck because the O'Reilly Shredder is near you. Columbus, you won at Columbus, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I won a couple
times.
times at Columbus. Yeah, Columbus was I always did good in those Ohio races. Columbus, Norwalk.
Yeah.
I've got a bunch of wins. Ohio and Bristol were my places that I did that I knocked out of the park.
Well, you're going to be a winner in the Columbus area as well next week because the O'Reilly Shredder is all over to Columbus, Ohio. You can see there from the 13th on through the 16th, multiple stops. So check out your local O'Reilly Auto Parts to see when those times will be. Anytime from 11 to 1, 4 to 6. So if you're in the Columbus, Ohio area, check out the O'Reilly Shredder. It's a really cool car and a really cool place to pick up your auto parts. Funny cars. There was some really good news and some really bad news on the
the funny cars ran faster than the dragsters?
Well,
I was going to ask
yeah.
Schumacher about that, but we ran out of time.
Yeah.
That makes me mad. I just they let those funny cars look like streamliners, and they don't let the dragsters do anything.
Yeah, my guess is that they're going to do one of two things. They're either really going to slow the funny cars down some way, or they're going to allow the top fuel cars something to get them to go a little bit faster, but it probably won't be until next year. That's my guess.
Oh yeah. I think you're right.
But we'll start with Matt Hagan, who won his first U.S. Nationals. He's got a couple of championships under his belt and now has a U.S. Nationals. I mean, you talk about a guy that's making history as well. Tony Schumacher's doing a lot of that, but Matt Hagan is also doing a lot of that. He is a guy that when the chips are down,
he steps up. He had an 0.39 light in the final. Beat Del Worsham on a hole shot.
Yeah.
And Del didn't have a bad light. It was, it was about like Tony. Tony has had Torrance. Tony racing Torrance. Torrance didn't have a bad light.
It was
Tony
an
just had an
0.45
excellent
light. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, an 0.45 light is going to win you more times than not.
Right.
And Tony left on him by 100th. Hey, that's just amazing.
No, that was amazing.
Then it's always really good when your sponsor is also the sponsor of the race, and then you can go out and win that. I mean, you had Snap-on for a long time, and I'm sure that if there were a lot of times when you had Snap-on people.
Well, the first time I got anything to do with Snap-on, we won the NHRA Winter Nationals at Darlington, and it was Snap-on. Snap-on was the main sponsor of the race. I won the race and got to know those guys, and that was how that relationship cultivated. Yeah, and it's always really important. So when Courtney Force wins the Traxxas Nitro Shootout for funny cars, that was pretty a real big deal for her. And you can see on this screen, John Force hamming it up. But a really good day for John Force Racing, as both of his cars were in the final. Traxxas ends up winning the race, and that was a big deal
for them because obviously
Courtney racing Robert in the final of that Traxxas shootout. Great outcome for for John Force Racing to have both cars in the final, and Traxxas has to be happy, like you say.
No
so,
question.
Great deal. And the Force guys they're coming around too. That whole funny car bunch, and their top fuel car, but they are really, really, they're doing well.
They're let's remember that John Force got a batch of new cars right around Topeka or so. So it hasn't been too long that they've had these new cars, and they're still trying to tweak those cars and, get the aero right. And, because there's a lot of that, especially now that they're going 335 miles an hour.
And unfortunately on Robert Height's car, as we saw that one, I saw the one highlight on TV.
We're going to see that one. Yeah,
oh, man.
Yeah, we're going to see that right about now. Unfortunately, one of those brand new cars is now in the dumpster because of this. Bang. Now, is it me, or did that one just look more violent because it was under the lights, it was at night, and you can see more of that explosion?
Well, that was particularly violent. What happens there is in the middle of the run, the engine is loaded down as much as it could possibly be. All of the fuel from that 100-gallon per minute fuel pump is pumping in. So you're getting 2 gallons a second of fuel is going into the engine. And from what I understand, the camshaft broke. And
there's nothing to turn it over with.
All of a sudden, it turns into a bomb. I mean, that engine turns into a bomb, and I'm guessing there was pretty much probably nothing left of the engine, and obviously nothing left of that body. I wouldn't even be surprised if it didn't blow up so bad that it hurt the frame rails and messed up the actual chassis.
And if there was any good news about that, is that Robert, when the engine exploded, he took a violent turn to the left and just about got into Dave Richards in the other lane.
Yeah.
He just got by. Robert was driving the thing after all of that. You can see him in there. He's turning the wheel and
it's
still trying to
amazing
keep
what
off
you
it.
do when you're trying to save your butt.
Lord. Wow. Well,
so Robert Height he got an A for driving on that, and also lucky that the other driver that was in the other lane wasn't right next to him, because oh boy, that would have been bad. I mean, we remember that from John Force and Kenny Bernstein coming together down in Dallas years ago. That was a bad one.
Yep, and but luckily Dave Richards got out of that. Actually got a time, and if I'm not mistaken, that was the run that actually got him into the U.S. Nationals. So he just got through the lights before.
He was lucky because that run would have gotten thrown out.
That's exactly right. So so there was a little bit of good news there. And speaking of saving one's butt. Let's go to the Ron Capps. Now, most of you have probably seen this because it was all over the place. No shoots for Ron Capps, or just before he got to the sand trap.
Here's Ron Tobler turns around and walking away. Everything's fine.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, oh man.
Oh yeah. So I wanted to ask you about this because one of the things that Ron talked about after he got out was that he was running out of air. Now, for those that may not exactly know what he was talking about, why he was running out of air, how does that actually work in a funny car?
Well, those funny cars have oxygen bottles in them, and it pumps air into the helmet of the driver. Obviously, because in a funny car, there's a lot of fumes. There's it's toxic inside there. I mean, that's the bottom line. So they've got an air system, and actually, I think the top fuel cars that have canopies now have an air system on them as well. So he was running out of air. And a funny car, unlike an open cockpit top fuel dragster, you can't just jump out. Like he's trapped in there as well. So yeah, that could have ended up worse for him. I know from what I understand, he was saying, he was trying to get the car sideways to kind of skid it and slow it down and all that. I'm not so sure if that was the right thing to do. If the sand trap gets wet and rained on, a lot of times it'll get hard. It'll get a crust on the top of it, basically.
Yeah.
And so as long as it doesn't have that crust,
you'd skip
then you
over
just
the top
skip right
of it.
across.
Yeah,
That's
right.
what happened to Scott Klett at Englishtown.
Yeah.
A few years ago, the sand trap was hard and doesn't do any good. It doesn't do what it's supposed to. Then I think they keep a lot better eye on that now than they probably ever have. Basically, you go down there with a rototiller and soften it up.
Yeah, Gary Dencham, I believe, had that problem at Pomona this year, where he went
right.
straight
Gary
in
Dencham,
and it went
right
over the top of it. And I think that's what Caps was trying to avoid right there, but it just didn't work out for him. Luckily,
Yep.
They were.
One thing we
able to
forgot
get
to talk about is Aaron Strong winning
Yay!
Seattle.
Good for Aaron Strong.
Yeah, won Seattle at Indy was that still blows me away. But what a great deal for Aaron Strong to take that win over Vincent Nobile in the final.
Yeah, a tip of the cap to Aaron Strong, and I wanted to get that in before we left because winning your first national event, that's a big deal. Even though it was a month or so out of the way, he ended up getting it done, and so big congratulations to him. Congratulations also to Chris McGahey and to Andrew Hines for also winning in the pro categories. Thanks for being here today. So for everybody involved, including Doug and Robbie and Daryl, I'm Marty. We will talk to you next week on The Straight Line.
You've been listening to The Straight Line, presented by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Tune in again next Thursday at noon Eastern on MotorRacingNetwork.com and the MRN app. The Straight Line is the show for drag racing fans and is brought to you by Hercules Tires. This program is also available on demand at the MRN.com Media Center, or you can download it through iTunes or Stitcher. The Straight Line is a production of the Motor Racing Network. All rights reserved.